welcome.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Daily Thread. Sorry that we missed a day yesterday. I was a little under the weather. Still am.
Yeah.
Still am under the weather.
Yeah, really. Yeah, maybe you should get a note from your mother for being absent yesterday.
Yeah, you want to ask Ema for that?
Did you read about that teacher that you guys used to have in Torah? Did you see that?
No.
Remember Mr. Shiko?
Oh, yeah. I saw he passed away.
He passed away yesterday.
Oh, that's so sad.
And I saw a note from Yeshiva Torah in Far Rockaway. He taught there 33 years.
Yeah.
What did he teach?
You know what? When I was there, he wasn't really teaching any specific subject as much as he was.
Well, maybe he was teaching, but you weren't in class that much.
No, he wasn't really a teacher when I was there.
No,
he was like a hall monitor, but he was great.
Hall monitor.
Yeah, he used to like make everyone go into class.
I wouldn't say hall monitor. I would say more like he was like the utility player. You know, he couldn't.
Oh, he substituted for teachers that were absent and stuff like that.
He substituted for all teachers. He had a good rapport with all the students. He would make sure they're in class. So he was great. But you know what? He must have been old. I know they say that he passed away suddenly, but he must have been up there in age.
Yeah. Well, what's up there to you and what's up there to a lot of other people is completely two different things.
I mean, okay.
He taught there 33 years, so he didn't start teaching there when he was 10. You know, so he must have been in his 60s. I'm gonna guess.
In his 60s,
you know,
wow.
Or, yeah, maybe. Listen, you know, life is a dangerous experience. You know
what's interesting. Given just because. By the way, just for those who miss our intro little 4-second music, we'll pan to that. Welcome to the Daily Thread, everybody. Yeah,
you should really, and also, by the way, you should say that you're Nachi Gordon, the founder and host of Meaningful People and the creator of Meaningful Minute. And I'm Larry Gordon, and me and your mother gave birth to you 28 years ago.
Wait, so if someone's listening now at episode 83, I think
they don't know who we are. No, they don't know who we are.
I think they have a
Why don't you
solid
assume?
idea.
Well, Nachi, why don't you assume that somebody's tuning in for the first time today? You have a growing audience all over the world. They have no idea who this guy is, me, and the redhead sitting there in a comfortable chair, a new chair,
a lot more comfortable than your chair, to be honest.
Well, these two chairs, the one I'm sitting on, the one you're sitting on, happen to be owned by you. So maybe you could explain. How do I get one of those chairs?
Maybe I don't
get one of those chairs.
Maybe I don't want you to get too comfortable.
Can you get me like one that rocks, like a rocking chair?
No,
I think I would.
I think that would be problematic. It's an interesting topic. Given the fact that I'm under weather, and so is like literally half the world. Everyone is walking around with the sniffles. What?
I had a cold this week. I had a cold.
When you were growing up, what would have to happen in order for you to get off from school?
I had to have a sore throat. That was number one.
It?
You had to have a sore throat.
That's it.
Or an earache.
Oh my goodness, that's very, very elementary. Maybe that's why you were a lot more Mako with me when it came to going to school. I feel like if I didn't have 107 fever, I was gonna be going to school.
I don't know. I seemed to me that you were home a lot during your school years.
Yeah, well, you guys were like in Florida or in Israel, so when you did that, I would stay home.
So that was So I see you were a very motivated student. I guess.
And here we are. Discussing current events.
Yes, here we are talking to the world and pontificating and giving our ideas of world events. Listen, considering who the world leaders are today, at least here in America, I think we're in a pretty good position in terms of our being able to, elucidate and pontificate on the issues impacting on the world today. Anyway,
you really like that word pontificate, don't you?
I happen to be applicable in the context of what we were just talking about. It's not a question of liking or disliking a word. Words fall into places to express a certain meaning, and that won't fit in that spot. That's all.
I hear you loud and
clear. Since I'll tell you something that I've been working on for the last couple of days.
Yeah.
Of interest to your worldwide audience, and really it impacts on everybody. And it's not in today's 5 Towns Jewish Times, which came out this morning at 4 a.m.
Any way to plug?
Well, listen, what else you want me to talk about? He talks about meaningful people and meaningful this and meaningful that all day long. So I talk about the 5TJT. So what?
Why don't we talk about the Daily Thread? How about that?
All right. So this is we are the Daily Thread. We are the Daily Thread. Anyway, so I got a text message from somebody on Monday. She says my daughter just had a baby, and they want to come back to New York from Eretz Yisrael for Pesach, and the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem is not letting them in to get something called an emergency passport.
Yeah, I saw videos.
An emergency passport.
I saw videos.
So that
I saw videos on Danielle Renoff on her Instagram the other day. Peas, Love, and Carrots. She has a big following, and she was by the embassy. And what you saw was droves of people, some mothers who had just given birth last week, to go there and get that appointment. And they were pretty much told that there are too many Americans here at the U.S. Embassy, and they're not issuing any emergency passports. I do know, however, that Chaim V'Chesed and Amudim are working together, as well as the Aguda visited Senator Schumer the other day, and he said he's working on it. So I'm pretty confident that hopefully things will come together and emergency passports will be given out. But it's definitely an interesting situation that's happening over there.
Okay, so let me fill you in on a couple of things. My phone's ringing. Okay, it's off. Okay. Let me fill you in on a couple of things. I spoke to your cousin, your first cousin, and my nephew, Michi Nudell from Chicago.
Shout out Michi.
Was with the Aguda.
Michi the mogul.
He was with the Aguda in Washington D.C. yesterday, and he heard Senator Schumer speak, and Schumer said that he is all over it, and of course the Aguda is representing the interests of their of Jewry, and specifically their constituency, which is the right, of course, and proper thing to do. I called the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv yesterday, and I spoke to a gentleman who answered the phone named Peter, who's in the press office. He said he'd have somebody get back to me to explain from public affairs, who could explain to me why there was a change in policy. This policy just changed, I guess, in the last week or two.
It changed
about issuing emergency passports.
It changed when people started showing up.
Right away, everybody gets their back up, and they think that the Jews are being singled out and discriminated against, and there's some kind of a score to settle. And I got to tell you, the people that called me about this felt the same way, and I felt the same way too. They know that there are hundreds and hundreds of families with young children that are living in Israel, maybe for their first, second, or third year of marriage. They're having babies, and they may have had a baby, I don't know, a week ago or 2 months ago or 3 months ago, and that child doesn't have a passport because they haven't had a passport yet. So the new policy, according to this gentleman at the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv, was that they're issuing passports only to documented Americans. You hear the lashon?
Yeah.
You hear the lashon? You hear the language?
Well, a newborn can't be a documented American. They were just born.
Well, someone else yesterday explained to me what a documented American. I thought a documented American means that you have to have a birth certificate from the United States.
Okay.
But if you're born in Israel, then theoretically you can't get you're an American citizen by virtue of the fact that your parents, at least one parent is American, makes you an American citizen.
Okay.
I was thinking I wanted to have a professional, level-headed conversation with the guy, but I was thinking the whole time that if they were just flying to Mexico City, they could walk across the border into Texas without a problem.
You always have the good ideas.
No, I didn't. I'm expressing that to you privately in our conversation here.
This is not so private.
This is between me and you. So apparently a documented a documented American citizen means that you were born in the United States of America. Okay, so being an American citizen by virtue of the fact that your parents are U.S. citizens is another level of citizenship. But for the change in policy at the embassy, because they were so overwhelmed, they're overwhelmed with requests for emergency passports. Anyway, to make a long story short, no one from public affairs from the embassy called me back yet, but that was just yesterday morning when I spoke to the gentleman at the U.S. Embassy in Tel Aviv. Anyway, in the interim, I spoke to my nephew Michi, your cousin. He filled me in on yesterday's meeting of the Agudas Yisrael of America in Washington, and the meeting with Senator Schumer and others. And also I also spoke to Tzvi Gluck from Amudim last night, and he explained to me that he's a level-headed guy. He gets a lot done because of his level-headedness.
Okay.
He keeps a cool demeanor. Doesn't make any facetious suggestions like you or me might make.
Like you or me or you.
Yeah, but Nachi, we're in the entertainment business.
Okay.
We're not negotiating with the U.S. Embassy.
Okay.
We're not negotiating with the U.S. Embassy. So he explained to me something very interesting. You have to maintain your cool, and you have to understand the flip side of every issue. So it's not because they're targeting yeshiva guys and girls with little babies in Israel. He said to me, he made a deal with the U.S. Embassy. Give them a list in the next few days. By the end of this week, he has to give them a list of people that need emergency passports in order to get a passport to get a child that was born, let's say, in the last few months back to the United States. And he told me this morning, he already has a list of 100 names of people. And I passed on the information to some people that called me yesterday. If your kid is in Israel and thinks they're not going to get back to the United States because they don't have a passport for their baby, call or write or email Amudim and put your kid on the list, and in an orderly and proper way, you'll get an appointment for an emergency passport. The problem here is why they had to change the policy was that the embassy, two things are happening in Israel. Number one, according to Tzvi, according to his explanation, and I'll just retell it to the best of my understanding. If I'm making a mistake, I'm sure he'll hear about it and correct me. He said that, number one, emergency is an emergency. If you have a child a year ago or a year and a half ago, you have the ability to go to a passport office or to the embassy in Israel and make an application like a regular, conventional, normal situation like you do here in America.
Right.
It could take you 6 weeks. It could take 6 weeks to get your passport back. Now, if you had a baby last week and you want to fly back, okay, that constitutes an emergency. But if you had a child a year and a half ago and now you decided you want to go back to America for Pesach and you call it an emergency, they're inundated with requests. And beside that, he said the system is being abused. He didn't use the word abuse. I'm saying it. I'm saying that people are coming there for emergency passports.
In English, what you're saying is we're Jews and we like, maybe waiting till last second. So what's happening is people generally could go ahead and go to the regular passport office and get a passport in 6 weeks, no problem. But what everyone is doing, or what many people are doing, is just going and doing the emergency way, which is flooding that office, and it's making it difficult for them to work.
Right. That's that, and more than that, people are applying for emergency passports ostensibly to return to the United States for the holidays, but they're not using them. They're going on vacation. They're going to Dubai. They're going to Cyprus. They're going on vacation.
Well, what difference does it make? Is that why is that? Well, if someone's going to spend the holiday in Dubai with their family, or they're going to go spend a holiday with them in the United States, what difference does it make?
I don't know. You have to ask Tzvi. I imagine that if you're coming there and saying you need a passport issued by the U.S. Embassy because you want to return to the United States, but you're really not going to the United States, then you're misrepresenting the reason that you're there under an emergency situation. And then he said there are people making appointments and not keeping them and selling them to other people that don't have appointments because there's a waiting list to get appointments. So it's becoming a business. I don't know how much they charge, but you could go to the U.S. Embassy. Now is March 16th? What's today? March 16th? Yeah. You can go to you could go to the embassy February 1st, get an appointment for March 20th, and then you meet a guy in your school or yeshiva or in the supermarket. And he says, I need an emergency. I don't have an appointment for an emergency passport for my baby. I said, well, for $500, I'll give you my appointment. So it gets turned into a business too.
Yeah. Well, you know, whatever. I'm not gonna partake in any of the anti-Semitic tropes that we call out on this program. But it's just like,
no, don't go there. Don't go there. Don't go there on this.
It's like a little bit of our nature though that we kind of wait till last second, and the selling the appointments. That's like, I don't know. That's terrible. That's not a good thing to do.
It's like it's like getting a vaccine card that you got the vaccine because you wanted to travel.
Yeah,
and you weren't allowed to travel internationally without the vaccine. So I don't know anyone who did that, but you could probably buy. I heard on the news people buy a vaccine card.
Well, I think this is even. I'll tell you why I think this is even worse than that. I think COVID was a crazy time, and people were a little bit panicking. So people did things sort of like everyone was fending for themselves in a way. People didn't know what's in the vaccine. They didn't want to take it. Yada yada. And whether they were right or wrong, that's just the current situation. It was it was a pandemic. I think now with this, it's like, come on, like why? Like why are you doing that? Why are you not allowing the Israeli officials and the government and the passport office to actually trust you to do what you're supposed to be doing? You're just making it difficult. You know what the teacher says in third grade? You're just ruining it for the whole class. So
yeah, exactly. So one of the things Tzvi said is that the U.S. Embassy, they have to put on extra staff. They're inundated with requests. They're busier with this than with anything else. An embassy in a country has a lot of things to do in the course of a day or a week, other than just meeting with people to issue passports. And don't forget, they're coming under the rubric and under the request and heading of an emergency. And if it's not an emergency, then it's not an emergency.
I hear you.
That's all.
Another story that we did not get to talk about the other day because we didn't record, but in the two stories, two very important stories. I'll start with one that is closer to home for the Jewish people, and that is from the World Baseball Classics. The World Baseball Classic, Jacob Steinmetz, a Five Towns resident, struck out Manny Machado.
Really?
And he pitched an inning and a half in the World Baseball Classic for Israel, and he struck out an all-star in the MLB. He's 19 years old. He's one of the youngest people to ever start a game in the World Baseball Classic. And out there on the field, we'll show a video. Here's Jacob Steinmetz striking out Manny Machado.
Here down 0-2, and he strikes out swinging. Real tight, well-thrown slider. That's a good slider.
And he was pitching against Dominican Republic. They're not just an MLB squad. They are an all-star team practically. A lot of amazing players come from the Dominican Republic. And he let up, one run. He struck out 3 players. He walked 2. So it wasn't a perfect outing by him. But, Jacob Steinmetz definitely opened some eyes. And he represented well out there.
Is he still with the Arizona Diamondbacks organization?
He is in the Arizona Diamondbacks organization. I saw that in the Arizona Complex League, he didn't really have so much success. I think his record was like 0-7 or something with a 7-point-something ERA. But he made his people proud the other day versus Dominican Republic. A very exciting moment, and a very, very exciting moment for him, his family, and for his friends. Seeing him strike out a big time MLB player, pretty special.
Well, you should know his parents live here in the Five Towns.
Yes,
you should know that. His father, Elliot, is the coach of the Yeshiva University Maccabees. The Yeshiva University Maccabees, the basketball team that won 50 games in a row last year. So it's a sports-oriented type of family, and like you said, maybe he caught some attention. Maybe he could still latch on somewhere with some team somehow. Yeah. Maybe the Mets could pick him up. If not the Mets, maybe the Jets can use him to be a backup for Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I don't know if you know about this, but the other story that happened at the World Baseball Classic was Puerto Rico played a game the other day, and they won a nice big game, but in the most Mets fashion.
Right.
A player for Puerto Rico, I don't know if you know about this, but Edwin Diaz played for Puerto Rico. And Edwin Diaz was celebrating with the team after they won, and he went down with a bad knee injury, and he had to be carried off the field. And this is a
What's-
player.
What's his status?
I don't know.
What's his status now?
Right now, he's getting imaging from the team. All we know is
information on that in this. On Edwin Diaz.
They're taking imaging today.
Yeah.
Taking imaging today, and he's probably out for the whole season.
really
A whole what?
Whole season.
Season?
Yeah.
He's out for the whole season?
Yeah, probably.
why
Why are you saying that?
He couldn't walk off the field.
What?
He couldn't walk off the field.
Yeah, it could have been a bad strain.
No, they were pretty.
You think something he
Probably tore
cracked
something.
his kneecap or
He
something?
probably tore his ACL. Yeah.
that's terrible.
The odd thing is, I know it's terrible for the Mets. He had such a great season last year.
He also, I mean,
Well-
like, we just paid him. How much should we pay him? Ask us, how much did the Mets just pay him?
His contract, if I did, he wasn't paid yet. His contract is $102 million, I believe, for 5 seasons, if I'm not mistaken. And listen, if he has to miss this year, he'll be back next year. You know how it works in sports. Injuries is part of the game.
I know, but you hope
Anyway.
at least that your athlete will get injured playing the game for you and not for Puerto Rico.
Come on, plenty of times players got injured in motorcycle accidents, falling off a roof while he was trying to. They have a responsibility to be extra careful. But that was yesterday. The little clip that I saw this morning was really a freak accident, I would say. Anyway, so let's talk about 2 things before we leave, okay? I don't know. I don't have a timer here, so I don't know where you're up to. But it doesn't really matter, does it?
23 minutes.
Okay, so first of all, this week in the 5 Towns Jewish Times, we have a very, I think I mentioned to you once before. You see the picture here? Did you see it?
Pesach cake. I see. It's your cake.
Yeah, it's cookies. It's called The History of Cake. It's about charting the history of Pesach over the last 5-6 decades through the evolution of Pesach pastries, and I recount how long before you guys were born, all you had on Pesach, if you were lucky, was some sponge cake and marble cake, and that's all they. And then over the years they, by tweaking potato starch and turning it into all kinds of different types of recipes, they developed 7-layer cake and checkerboard cake and jelly roll.
It was better.
And rainbow cookies.
It was better with just a sponge cake and marble cake. It was better.
Why?
It was better that.
You have your mother has that kind of taste for plain cake.
No,
doesn't like the sugary stuff. It has to be sponge or sponge or marble.
I'm just saying the Pesach cake stuff got out of hand. Let's be real. Most of it isn't good. It just looks good.
First of all, I think the rainbow cookies are addictive on Pesach. Number one. The black and whites are pretty good. The jelly cookies are really great. They melt in your mouth. Of course, I'm not eating anything now because I'm on a diet. I don't know if you could tell, but at least until Pesach.
But you've been on a diet since I knew you.
Okay, that's why I'm not 250 pounds.
I mean, when are you gonna not be on a diet?
I don't know. I know. I'm on a real diet now. I don't want to go into the details, but it's
are the details
a few pounds.
Are the details not for the faint of heart?
No, it's very simple. The objective is to knock off 5 to 8 pounds over the next 3 weeks before Pesach. I started about a week ago. I'm already down 4 pounds. And,
really?
Nachi, could we get a round of applause?
Oh, he doesn't. He used to have the applause. I think he sent it back. He used to have a canned applause, but I think he sent it back to Amazon. I think he got his money back. He didn't like it. Anyway, one of the interesting observations that I think is an interesting observation is that one of the popular Pesach treats that you really don't see all year round is what they used to call ladyfingers.
Yes.
Okay, but they don't call ladyfingers anymore. You know what they call it now?
Baby fingers.
Now it's called baby fingers. So somebody woke up about, 5 years ago, said, how could you have a product on the shelf that has the word lady in it? Lady fingers?
Why was it called lady fingers?
I don't know.
Right?
I guess it was,
so there was never a really good reason for it to be called lady fingers.
No, I think that somebody in the bakery where they cook these things,
yeah,
thought that it was constructed in the shape of a woman's hand.
But that's
a woman's finger. So it looked like a lady fingers. It was a nice, catchy name for a product. People enjoyed it. It melts in your mouth. It's a very tasty type of cracker.
It tastes like sawdust. It tastes like sawdust.
Oh, you see, you're a sponge cake fan, and you're talking down about ladyfingers.
Can I have some input here?
Yes.
What?
Can I have some input here?
I don't hear you. What'd you say?
Can I have some input here? Input. You know what input is?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay.
What do you want to say?
Rainbow cake on Pesach is the greatest thing ever invented.
Okay,
No.
there's a man after my own heart.
Okay.
No.
I can eat a whole box of that.
No, he doesn't like that.
I'll tell you why. I don't know.
It has color in it.
No, I don't like the jelly. There's jelly in between the layers. I don't like that. I don't like jelly.
That's what. Oh, you don't like jelly. That's what makes it so good.
No,
That's what
I
makes
don't.
it so good.
I can't do the jelly. I can't do the jelly.
Well, it so happens that's your personal preference. The rest of the world is
Really
wild about Pesach
really?
cakes.
I want to put this to a vote. Okay, I want to put toe-to-toe 7-layer cake versus the rainbow cake any day. 7-layer cake all day versus rainbow. You think I'm wrong?
Yeah, Nachi, you know what exciting time of year this is for people on a gluten-free diet? Because all these cakes are all gluten-free, and they stock up for the year with black and whites and the rainbow cakes and the 7-layer cake and the there's a little difference in the cakes than all year round. It's a little less, I don't know what to say, a little less rich in a way, and it has a unique Pesach taste to it, but you get used to it very quickly.
I'm sure we're gonna speak a lot more about Pesach food as we get closer, but I think the best food on Pesach, and like, don't at me here, I think gefilte fish on Pesach is just great.
I don't know what's the difference between that and the rest of the year. It's made with what's it made with? Potato starch? I don't know what they make.
No,
it with.
I don't know if it's different at all.
It's missing a certain ingredient. I don't know if it's made with. First of all, there's not too much fish in gefilte fish, generally speaking. Okay, it's mostly fillers. There's a very tiny amount of fish in gefilte fish, so it's probably even being misnamed.
But the combination of the gefilte fish and matzah, and maybe some mayonnaise, that's like killer. It's good stuff. That's good stuff.
All right, so at least you have something to look forward to. But another issue that I brought up in this column called "The History of Cake" is the fact that it used to be the hotels that we went to when you were kids.
Yeah.
If you remember, I don't know what year was it. You were born what year? 95.
Yeah.
So before you were born in the 80s, we used to go to a hotel where. There was in the same menu in the same hotel. There was dishes that were gebrux and dishes that weren't gebrux. And if there was an asterisk next to a dish, then that meant that it was gebrux. So you didn't order that if you didn't eat gebrux on Yontif. Now, you can't have a hotel in the same zip code as a hotel that serves gebrux. You can't have a non-gebrux hotel in the same zip code or the same state, preferably. Than a hotel that serves gebrux.
I don't think that's something that we should pick a fight with. I feel
no one's fighting. I'm making an observation.
Let's just be happy.
Anybody.
Let's just be happy. If you go to a Pesach hotel, it's an amazing thing and good for you and good for your family. Happens to be staying home is very nice, but if you go into a hotel, that's awesome. But you better thank your lucky stars if you walk out of that hotel with no instance, because so many times in these hotels, event instances where there's food poisoning.
Oh, incidences, you mean?
Yeah, what'd I say?
Instance. You meant incidents.
There's no incidents. Yeah, because
nothing happens. 99.9% of the
you always hear
hotels pass by uneventfully.
You always hear about these things in Croatia or in this place or that place. We had a big situation. We went to a hotel many years ago, and there was food poisoning, and it was a disaster. People were like getting medevaced away from the hotel. It was absolutely catastrophic.
That was That was one incident in. I was going to say you're 28 years old. I'd say you're going to Pesach hotels for about 35 years.
35 years? I'm only 28.
I know. That's how long you've been going.
No,
you weren't even born. You weren't even born yet for 7 of those years.
I stayed home. I stayed home for Pesach at least 7-8 times.
Yeah, of course we stayed home. There were occasions that we stayed home. We went to your sister Dini's house. The last few years we packed in there in Chestnut Ridge and Dini and Eliezer's home for a beautiful Pesach. And of course this year you're going to your in-laws for part of the Yontif. And Nissan's in-laws are coming to him. There's a whole, I think it's a mathematical equation about when you're relatively newlywed, where you go for Yontif.
Well, what do you consider? What do you consider relatively newlywed?
Is there an official scorer that keeps score of these things? For some people, it's a very serious thing. If you go 1 year here, you got to go 1 year there, and then last year you went here, then this year you got to come here. I don't know how long. What's newlywed? Newlywed's generally 1 or 2 years. In my book. But so far, as far as you guys are concerned, we're in extra innings.
1, 2, or 15 years.
Or 15.
How many years? 20?
1, 2 to 15.
15 to 20 years.
15 to 20 years newlyweds.
15 to 20 years is considered newlyweds today, and you can still get an emergency passport if you're married 20 years or more. And you have a 19. If you have a 19-year-old son, you could carry him into the embassy in Jerusalem and say you need an emergency passport because he was only born 19 years ago.
Very good. Well, that's our episode today of the Daily Thread. Make sure to tune in maybe sometime over the weekend. Hopefully we'll have Jacob Steinmetz on the program if we can make that happen. Anyways, my name is Nachi Gordon, and I'm with
your father, Larry Gordon, the Five-Town Jewish Times publisher.
Another plug.
One second. Who's on Meaningful People this Saturday night?
So shameless plug.
Yeah. This where'd you go? You fell down?
I went to pick up my phone.
This Saturday night we're having Maya Namdar on Meaningful People, the mother of Liel Namdar Al-Vashalom, Liel Dina Bas Ephraim, who was taken from us in a car accident in December of 2021. And it was an unbelievable episode. You can see the strength and the resolve and the emunah and the bitachon that this lady has and what her and her family went through. It's an incredible episode. I don't think I've ever heard such stories and such a story from someone sitting right across from me. So I highly recommend people.
So you recorded it this week?
I recorded it earlier this week, yes.
Okay.
It'll be coming out on Motzei Shabbos, so make sure to subscribe to Meaningful People. Make sure to subscribe to Daily Thread. And, of course, make sure to pick up the Five-Town Jewish Times on your way to the grocery.
And we should say one more thing before you go. I know you're in overtime. You're probably at 35 minutes now. But we should say something about this week's Parsha, which is Vayakel Pekudei, double Parsha. Your brother Dovi's Bar Mitzvah Parsha, believe it or not. Big Parsha. If the lottery comes out, you're in Vayakel Pekudei, you got a lot of studying to do if you want to learn the whole Parsha. It's Pashas HaChodesh. We're going to have Shabbat Mevarachim Chodesh Nisan, which means, what's today? Today's Thursday.
It means no Tachan.
It also means 3 weeks from 3 weeks from today is going to be the first day of Yontif. You know that?
Wow.
3 weeks from today. Anyway, Vayakel Pekudei, like all the many Parshas before it, in the middle of Sefer Shmos, is all about the building of the Mishkan. And then we're going to finish Vayakel Pekudei. We're going to say Chazak, V'nis Chazek after Pashas Pekudei this week. And then we're going to start Vayikra, and it's more about Karbanos and the Mishkan and so on and so forth. And the question is, why is so much space allotted to the building of the Mishkan? And the Mishkan was a temporary edifice that I think lasted about 300 some odd years, 368 years, I think. And then it just, after there was no more Mishkan, after the Bnei Yisrael went into Eretz Yisrael, and there was no more Mishkan, you never hear from it again, and it's never going to be again, because you have a Beis HaMikdash
right,
that was built twice, and that, God willing, when Mashiach comes, is going to be built a third time. So why so much space allotted to building the Mishkan all the way out in the desert, far, far away from Eretz Yisrael? And some Mefarshim say that to teach you an important lesson, also about the details of the construction and what you can learn from it and so on and so forth. But an underlying theme is the fact that a Jew should internalize the message, even in 2023 today, that no matter where you are, no matter how far you are out there in the world, you have to conduct yourself in a way as close to perfection as possible, as if you're building a mishkan and representing the Jewish people in a proper way, in a respectful way, and in an impressive way. Even if you're far away in the desert, you think you're nowhere near your community or your neighborhood, you always have that responsibility that you are obligated to fulfill, even though you're way out of your home court, so to speak.
It's very applicable for Pesach. You might find yourself in Croatia. You might find yourself in Greece. You might find yourself in Petersburg, Tampa.
I don't think it's a program in Croatia this year. Is there a Croatia for sure?
I don't know.
I know people that are going to. A lot of people going to Morocco.
Oh yeah.
A lot of people are going to Greece. People are going to Italy. I know, and of course here in the United States, they're going to Arizona and Nevada, Las Vegas area.
Orlando, of course.
Orlando, of course, and
And
New
guess
York
what?
area.
And home and the dining room table. That's a good place to be.
I would say 97% of the people, don't get the wrong impression if you're listening to this, 97% of the people stay home for Yontif, and the supermarkets are all ready for Yontif. You'll see in the ads in the paper, in the Five-Town Jewish Times and other papers.
Of course.
Everything's about Pesach. Pesach products and matzahs, and matzah. Some matzah is the more popular matzahs from the hand matzahs from matzah bakeries this year is $44 a pound.
Really? Wow.
Right, $44 a pound. Although you still could get in Costco, they say, for like $15, $16 a pound. Matzahs from Eretz Yisrael.
I think I'm gonna buy from Costco and resell it for $44 a pound, maybe.
I don't think it's going to. I don't think that's going to work. Even though Shmura Matzah has the same ingredients, every matzah bakery has their certain signature, certain touch.
Yeah, I totally.
Okay, now you can end the show.
Okay, make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review for our podcast, The Daily Thread. Looking forward to hearing your responses, the comments on this video. 7-layer cake versus rainbow cake. Got 1 vote to 7-layer cake for me. Got 1 vote for rainbow cake for my father. 7-layer cake all the way.
You like rainbow cake better than 7-layer cake?
On Pesach?
Yeah, on Pesach, yeah.
Okay.
No.
I'd like to make an announcement. Everything besides rainbow cake on Pesach tastes like cardboard.
Cardboard. They're very. It makes a big mess. If your kids eat checkerboard cake or 7-layer cake or the jelly roll, forget about it.
It's not good.
What?
Okay.
It's just not good.
I
Rainbow
think-
cake is good.
I think this is where the episode ends. Have a great weekend, everybody.
He wants to go home. Let him go home.
Wanna go home?
You go home.
You go home now,
Okay.
man.
Adios. Peace.
Peace out, man. That's an episode.